everyone. I'm Elmer Dayton here, and today I'm going to be the moderator of this debate. Before we begin, I want to just thank the audience that showed up and the candidates behind me. Just going over a few things now. All the questions I ask will be very serious, and I hope these candidates behind me will provide some very serious answers. And I'm just going to go over the rules before we begin, too. Rule number one is going to be do not answer the question until you are called upon. Each candidate will get 3 minutes to answer their question. And if you wish to comment on another candidate's answer, you must raise your hand. And once called upon, you will have 1 minute to give your rebuttal. And overall, just try to remain respectful at all times. But let's get into this debate and hear these fine candidates' answers. All right, I'm going to jump down now. All right. Are y'all ready?
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
I've been ready since I got here like 2 minutes ago.
Sounds fantastic. Okay. First question is going to be, what are your goals as the mayor? Moxley.
Yes, sir. Howdy, folks. My name is Moxley Johnston. And honestly, when I threw my names in the pits here in the beginnings, I ran on two goals, and I'm continuing to run on those two goals, which are accountability, right, and transparency. Two things I think that have lacked from the past mayors as a whole. So while my goals themselves rely on those, and they stem from those at the focal point, my goals themselves, specifically on when I get into office, are actually built on what I learned from you as the people. Most of you out there in the audience, I had the opportunity and the privilege to talk to. And when I spoke to y'all brought forward a lot of problems that I have to unfortunately agree with here in the realm of Los Santos. And quite honestly, I think the biggest thing is our economy, right? Our economy is faltering a little bit. I've brought forward some ideas on ways to fix that. And I believe that they are realistic goals with a very set precedent as to how we can follow them and fix them. And it not to go too in depth, because I know I'm probably being timed right now. But I believe that employee commissions is something that I want to introduce here to most businesses. So for all y'all employees out there, let's say tow bros as an example, if they were to tow vehicles, all the money wouldn't go directly into the pocket of the business. It would also go, or at least the commission of it would go into the pocket of the one actually doing the towing. So for the employees out there, that means you'd be getting a little bit there. The cops have been doing this for about a couple weeks, and it's been rolling pretty well from what I've seen, and it's only fair that the businesses get the same support in that sense there. Also focusing on the businesses here, I do want to introduce a 501(c), which is a nonprofit organization. We don't have that yet, but for businesses such as IJJ or Weasel, where there isn't a whole lot of a profit margin, of course, evidence will need to be proved to do it. But I do plan to bring forward that some of the budget go into businesses that hold weight as nonprofit and just don't make a whole lot of monies off of it. So hopefully we can help jumpstart a few businesses such as Tow Bros and be able to get them some monies too to get started.
Sorry to cut you off. That is your 3 minutes. Just want to keep it nice and smooth here. Going on to the next candidate, Cletus.
Am I going now? What?
Go ahead and answer
my goal?
Yeah, what are your goals as mayor?
Oh, my goals as mayor, I'm going to do whatever it takes to make everyone happy. I want no one single person to be sad, man. We're going to go to my quinceañera tomorrow. We're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to have some games. We're going to have entertainment. We're going to have food, man. We're going to have a lot of cool stuff in my quinceañera, man, so you better show up to that shit. And I got to say, that guy just did a lot of talking right there, and he did a lot of talking. I don't know half the things that he said, but they didn't sound pretty bad. He sounded good. That guy right there is from America, man. I was born and raised in America, man. My mom, my pa, my Uncle Jimmy, my Uncle Johnny, my Uncle Two Toes, my Uncle Three Toes, my Uncle Stephen, my Uncle Tammy, my Uncle Terry. Uncle Terry, he was a big motherfucker, man. He was just the biggest motherfucker you'd ever seen, man. You'd lift that motherfucker out the bathtub every once a month. Then a week later, you'd find that he still got water under the city, man. Flooded the house one time, man. He just had so much water kept under his fucking rolls, man. So yeah, man, I'm just gonna do whatever I need to do to make sure everyone's happy, man. Like I don't want no one to be sad. Everyone's gonna have their quinceañera every year, man. December 1st gonna be National Quinceañera Day, man. And it's just what everyone needs, man. Everybody needs a quinceañera once every year, man. Everyone gets their own day, man. Everyone gets their own quinceañera, man. Because what's life gonna be without quinceañera? You know what I'm saying? Every year, man. You just gotta have that one special day for yourself, man. You gotta have a quinceañera, man. You know what? You know what? I'm gonna turn Christmas into a big quinceañera, man. Santa's quinceañera, man. Every year, man.
Is that all you have to say?
Oh no, I got a whole lot more to say, man. Listen, man. Anything that anybody wants, as long as it's not immoral and shit, man. I'm all for it, man. Like I just want people to be happy. I'm gonna do the good things. I ain't gonna do no bad things. But that motherfucker, he might have done bad. I don't know. I know the mayor right now that done bad things. I don't know who that is. I don't really know who that is either. But I don't think they done bad things. But they might do bad things, and I know I won't do bad things. I know I'm gonna do good things. I'm gonna make people happy. I ain't gonna do any bad things, man. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
You still got 40 seconds left, Cletus.
Shit, man, 40 seconds. All right, I guess I'll just circle back to my Uncle Terry, man. So, yeah, my Uncle Terry's big son of a bitch, man. You know, he wears a yellow raincoat out. People start shouting taxi at him. So he decided to change the pace, went down to the inner city wearing his green raincoat, and motherfuckers started shouting Godzilla, man. You know, walked through a school district, you got people chasing after him, thinking he's a fucking school bus, man. Whistling a tune walking down the road, man. People think it's a goddamn ice cream truck, you know what I'm saying, man? Like, he's one big motherfucking man, Uncle Terry, man. So, yeah, man, you know, that motherfucker, you gotta use a boomerang to put on his belt, man. Got more rolls than a fucking pastry truck, man. He walked down an alley, got fucking wedged in an alley, man. Had to fucking grease him out.
All right, that is your 3 minutes. James, if you'd like to go ahead and start, what are your goals as mayor?
I have a couple of different goals as mayor. I think there's some really good points raised here by the other candidates, and I'm really going to take those on board wherever my future endeavors lead me. I'm a man who is a businessman by heart. I brought my own business from a 0-figure business all the way up to a 7-figure business. So I know exactly how business works and exactly how to bring an economy from nothing to something. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply that across and help all citizens by giving those same logistic connections and those networking connections that I have now, and giving power back to the people by doing that. That leads me on to be providing businesses to people. So what I want to do is I want to provide business loans to people. The way that I can do that is by introducing new revenue streams. So with new businesses being started up and new business loans being available to people, it's going to allow the tax bracket to be moved at the lowest possible point. Because with more businesses comes in more money, not only for the individual, but for the state as well. Now, I don't want the state to run as a for-profit organization. It never should. They should never have more money in the banks than is needed for business loans and stability of the entire state infrastructure. It shouldn't work like that. Every dime that we have that's spare across that should be given back to the people. Another good point is raising back is to the PD. I think at the moment citizens are scared. People are scared. Businesses are scared. And people are fearing for their own life in places where they really shouldn't be. So a big part of what I'm going to push forward for is making sure that the police has the capacity to run at full with zero issues. A big part of that is making sure that people are in the right leadership positions and making sure that that department can run at full capacity with zero issues. And that doesn't relate just to budget, that relates to people in those positions as well. What I want to do is I want to break the cycle. A lot of our mayors, in fact, all of our mayors have been related to some sort of department. I'm not related to any specific department. I don't have any ties to the police, and I don't have any ties to the EMS. So for that, I can tear a new, fresh set of eyes. I can look at it completely differently, and I can make sure that I look at it from an outside view. So I don't have any specific ties to anything. However, that's a very powerful position to be in, because I can review and assess, and I can see what needs improving and what needs fixing, and I can take in people's thoughts without having a third-party influence on them. And that's why I want to host open council meetings, so that people can voice their opinions, whether they're a new business starter, or they have a current business, or they have a very successful business. They can voice their opinions, and they can comment on what comes next. They can comment on the future of our state. And that's giving power back to the businesses, and it's giving power back to the people through business loans and making sure that your pocket stays nice and full while also fixing the state. Do you have a question?
Yeah, all right then. That's your 3 minutes. I see that you have your hands up first, Moxley. You got 1 minute to say your piece.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir. I do want to bring up Mr. Allen, though. You mentioned about not having ties and or any ties to anything for that matter. You're absolutely right that I have ties to the police department, but I didn't spend any time bringing that up. I plan to just keep the police department afloat when it comes to what's brought into their budget. As somebody who sat in these meetings, I know that the majority of budget goes directly into the police department and the medical. I think that's bullshit, and I think the majority of it should be going back into our own pockets. So a little bit of a difference there on my end there. And when it comes to ties, Mr. Allen, you were gang affiliated, sir, or at least according to our major crimes unit. So you do have ties to something, or at least have in the past, which I only bring up because, you mentioned my ties to the police department. I do believe that I have the ability to be transparent and impartial when it comes to the funds of the state. And as somebody who has openly admitted they have 7 figures, which is very interesting when most of us have $10,000 to our
All
name.
right, Moxley. Unfortunately, that is your 1 minute. Next, Cletus. I saw that you had your hand up. You got 1 minute to say your piece.
Yeah, man, I only need 10 seconds, man. I only need 10 seconds, man.
All right.
Have they started yet? Are my 10 seconds started yet?
They started.
Oh, shit, man. Yeah, all I got to say is this guy's English is foot. What does this guy know about America, man? See that flag right there?
That's crazy.
That's probably American, man. That's probably American. What's this guy, man? This guy fucking British, man. Like, what the fuck? What do you know about America, man?
Hey, just keep it respectful.
That's crazy that we're going to allow him to say something like that.
Go ahead and keep it respectful. I don't want to hear something like that again.
I did. That was
Right.
respectful. What are you talking about, man?
I'm just going to move on to James. I saw that your hand went up. You got 1 minute to say your piece.
Moxley Johnson, when I say that I have a 7-figure business, that doesn't necessarily mean that I have 7 figures in the bank. If you knew anything about economy or basic business principles, you would know that if someone states they have a 7-figure business, it doesn't necessarily mean that they have 7 figures in the bank. There's several different terms that we do use in the business. However, I'm not going to bore them with you today. And saying that I have ties to a gang or an organization are not an allegation that I take lightly. I'm a very successful businessman, and I won't take any allegations like that.
All you had to say?
That's everything I had to say.
All right, then. Let's move on to the next question, then. The next question is, how many of your goals do you plan on getting done within your first week of office? Moxley, your 3 minutes start now.
Yes. So I think I've outlined this pretty well from the start that my goals come from the peoples here. So I do plan to bring forward a little bit of information from the courts when it comes to the foreclosure businesses, what gets changed through the council in terms of laws as well. I think that the public has been lacking a little bit in the amount of transparency from the courts in that sense. So and on the basis of that, that is the plan there. I do plan to bring forward my counsel, which I've already named. The PD liaison being Captain Drew Arnold, hospital liaison Dr. Julian Carter, court liaison Alexander Redfield, and the civilian liaison Mr. Michael Wave. I do plan to bring forward those individuals onto my council first day. I also plan to move forward on this ideology of a nonprofit organization. I do want to move on that immediately, as well as employee commissions. I do also want to work on making Toe Bros an official business. And I also want to find a ways to lower the cost of living. That may take more than just a few days, but it is going to start with gas prices. There is no reason that I should be paying $300 for a full tank. And I'm going to find whatever it is that's causing it to be so goddamn high and find a ways to bring it down. Starting with the tax bracket, because I do believe that taxing gas is a ridiculous thing to do. So we will be moving towards that on the first day in office. Is there more time?
You
It's
got
hard
a minute.
without a timers to see what we've got here, which is making a little bit of a struggle.
Oh, yeah. If you're ever wondering how much time, you can just ask. You got a minute and 30 seconds left.
All right, awesome. Well, I think I don't want to get ahead of myself and say that I can get it all done on the first day. I mean, there's the consideration of federal government and everything there, and then also the vote of the council, but that is the plan. When it comes to the presentation of how much money is brought into these departments, I do plan to hold these council meetings as open, which is what Rochelle Rose has been doing recently. And I do plan to make it a requirement for these heads of departments, whether it be police, hospital, court, or civilian, to bring forward a presentation on how much money they have, how much money they need to continue running through the month, and then a final vote behind closed doors. So I do plan to actually have some transparency there on what they have in funds and how much they need to operate, which has lacked a little bit as well. But honestly, when it comes to first day vibes, I've been pretty open about it from the start, and we'll continue to move forward with those ideas.
All right. You got 15 seconds left if there's anything you'd like to close with.
Nope, I'm feeling pretty confident. I'm okay. It's right there. Thank you.
All right, then. Well, I saw that, James Allen, you threw up your hand. You got 1 minute to say your piece.
I shouldn't need 1 minute. It's just a clarification. You said it was the first week of office or the first day?
Oh, yes, sir. It is the first week of office.
Oh,
Perfect.
I
Thank you very
responded
much.
first day. God damn it. Okay.
All right. Well, if you'd like to re-answer the question, I'm sorry I didn't make that clear enough. If you'd like to answer again, I'd allow that.
I won't take up my constituents' time here. It's only fair that I get the same amount of time that they do. But I'm very confident that what I mentioned is something I can get done on the first day, let alone the first week.
All right. Well, Cletus, you can go ahead and answer your question. Your 3 minutes start now.
Where's the question?
The question is, how much or how many of your goals could you get done within your first week of office?
All right.
Your 3 minutes start now.
All right, man. I'll tell you what. I'm gonna be doing a lot of things, man. I'm gonna be doing a lot of things, but I think I can get it done pretty quickly, depending on the demonstrations that I got. But man, I'm gonna have to work with a whole new set of new people in the council, so that's gonna take time to reach out to them and get them instated. So that's gonna be about a day or two before we can get fully operational. So then we're gonna hold our first council meeting, and we're gonna get things in order, man. We're gonna cast some votes on a couple things, and we're gonna pass that on through to the government. And then kind of a lot of it depends on what they think and how long they gonna take, man. So yeah, I mean, I'm gonna try and knock it all out within the first couple of days, man. I shouldn't even need a week, man. I know exactly what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do all the things that people want to make them happy. I'm gonna do the stuff that needs to be done, man. I know that everyone's afraid of doing, man. Hey, I ever tell you guys about my Uncle Terry, man? I think I did. But yeah, man, I'm gonna do the stuff that people want done, people need it done, that people haven't done. And, I'm just going to make everyone happy, man, because that's what it's all about, man. That's what life's about, man. Life's about being happy, man. I know for hell that I'm happy. I don't know about you, man, but I'm happy as shit right now, man. I got all my friends around me, man. Like, I got a friend there, man. I got a friend there. All you guys, my friends. You're all coming to my quinceañera tomorrow, or else I'm going to be really upset. And, I just want everyone to be happy, man. So that's why I'm going to do it all as quick as I can, man. Happiness comes quickly, man.
You got a minute and a half left if you have anything else.
Right, man, I'm done.
All right. Well, Moxley, I see that your hand's up. You got 1 minute to say your piece.
But, Mr. Duvall, do you have anything to present to this campaign besides your quinceañera tomorrow or stories about your uncles? I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Can you tell us?
I'm gonna make being mean to people illegal.
You're gonna what now?
I'm gonna make being mean to people illegal.
Mean to people illegal?
Yeah.
What do you define as being mean to people?
Like calling someone a shithead.
Well, he's got my vote. Stop being mean to people.
I said that's pretty mean. If I were to call him right here a shithead, I'd say that's pretty mean.
All right. You got 20 seconds left, Moxley.
I'm just curious what his campaign entails. That's it. That's all I'm curious about. I don't understand it.
my campaign entails other stuff that can make America happy, man.
Like what?
All the
right.
stuff that you need.
Okay.
The time,
One
the time up,
the
man.
1 minute the 1 minute is up.
Oh, that's a shame, man. I really wanted to answer that, but the time's up.
Yeah, we'll just
I'd
we'll
be
just
fine
keep.
with allowing him the opportunities.
I mean,
to,
if y'all are fine with it,
I'm
go
fine
and
with
answer
him.
that.
Yeah.
Go and answer that. I'll give you a minute or two to answer it.
What?
Answer whatever you were going to answer.
What am I going to answer? Where?
What's your
Who's
camp?
asking the question?
Do you have more to your campaign other than just making it illegal to be mean to people?
Yeah, man, I'm gonna do the stuff that needs to be done, man. You know, I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna outlaw raccoons, man. I'm gonna make it illegal to adopt cats off the street. You know what else am I gonna do? What else am I gonna? I'm gonna add some plans. You know, when someone gets out of prison and they're a felon, they're pretty much fucked for life. So you know, I want to institute a program to rehabilitate instead of punish. You know, because the prison is tedious, it sucks, I don't like it, and I don't think it provides anything of use to people. So I think we need to overhaul that and do it better. You know, reform people instead of just slapping them on the balls and calling them a piece of shit. You know, I think they should have the same opportunities as anybody else should have, but you know, just like monitors. Shit. I say we introduce parole to the state. You know, my uncle Terry, he was on parole once. I mean, he was on house arrest, but he couldn't even leave because he was fat as shit. He couldn't even fit through the door, man.
I'm giving you 10 more seconds.
I don't need 10 more seconds, man. I'm done.
All
I
right,
ate, man. I ate and left no crumbs.
James. What would you like to say? You got 1 minute.
Do we have any deodorant on the stage? It's sort of it's a bit smelly up here.
Brother, you smell like body odor and pine sap.
Unfortunately,
gotta
we
be
do
honest.
not.
It's a bit. It's a bit
Can you put your
distracting.
arms down, please? I don't want to. I can't smell that. Oh my god. Oh man.
Okay, let's try
Can we
to
make
move
him
on.
stand over in his spot again, please? It smells really bad, Mr.
There
DeVos.
was
You gotta
probably
take
a
a shower,
reason it
man.
was put over there.
That's mean as hell, man.
Mr. Allen, do you have another close?
That's mean as hell, man. You're hurting my feelings by saying
If
that,
we
man.
can
You're hurting
find
my
a
feelings.
microphone for him over there, then he can stand over there.
Do you have another close clip there, Mr. Allen? I might need one for my nose.
I don't have any more. Sorry.
Shit.
He can sit on the chair, and if we have a question, he can come up if he wants. I think
That'll
I'm
work.
happy to do that.
Oh, you guys are mean as hell, man. Fucking mean as hell, man.
I just can't breathe. That's holy shit. We need like a fans up here or something.
Y'all mind if I give
God
Moxie
damn.
something?
Yeah, all my fans are down there.
Smells like
Do
a
it real
dead
quick,
raccoon.
real fast.
That is a dead raccoon. I hate the motherfuckers, man.
Mr. Huck, we're debating right now. What's up, boss man?
Do it.
I do's mind a little bit.
Just do it.
What?
Do it really fast. Okay.
I don't understand.
Let's get back to it. James, how much do you plan on getting done at your first week in office? You got 3 minutes.
So my first week of office is going to be a very exciting one. I think there's going to be lots that's going to happen very quickly. I think we need to start lots of talks. I think the first thing we're going to do is organize and make sure that my council is in the proper state, and they're all organized as well. So what I want to do once I get my council organized, that's going to be on that first day, is making sure that we start those communications. The first line of communication I'm going to open is making sure that any businesses that are currently out there are surviving and are surviving happy. So I know that Moxley mentioned here during his original introduction there briefly, without going into too much detail, is that he mentioned that we do want to give commissions out to businesses, but my argument against that is that we do have barely surviving businesses in this state, and that they're barely making a profit on top of whatever they have. So they couldn't necessarily afford to give commissions. So we want to make sure that those employees and those places of employment have enough funds to survive, and we'll start those talks immediately. Next thing we want to do is sort out the funds and make sure that the funds that are going out are all organized and stored into files so that we can see exactly what's going on. I also want to make sure that the real estate has started to be talked about as well, so we can start looking at properties being available for the average consumer and average civilian. The most important part of that is making sure that we're fixing part of the LSPD, and as part of my Post protocol, the first part of the week is making sure that Moxley is reinstated as the commissioner of the LSPD. However, I don't expect that to be necessarily within the first week, as we do have an active commissioner at the moment, and I want to give him plenty full of notice to make sure that he isn't given the same treatment that Moxley was when he was commissioner and fired from that position.
Oh, look at that. You won't get moxed.
All right, you got a minute and 20 seconds left.
That's everything I needed to say on that.
All right, then. Next question. It is, do you believe there's any problems with our current economy? And if so, let us know how you're going to fix it. We're going to start over here with Moxley. You got 3 minutes.
I think currently, or with lack of a better term, I think our current economy's fucked. I mean, we've seen since the day this state came back from the apocalypse, it's really been in the shitter. I mean, it took me 3 months to afford the car that I wanted, and I'm sure with most of these businesses struggling too, it's it's certainly a concern there. When I spoke with these business owners, I spoke with the Bean Machine's Vivian Fleur, and I said, you have a business here in the state, and you guys are open all the time, and what's your biggest problems here? And she said the gas prices, what it costs to move up into the counties to get your product. Or the ingredients for your product and back down, takes out the majority of what you make in a day. And quite honestly, when I spoke to the law enforcement officers, it was a mutual agreement. They said that they spend the majority of their paycheck, if not the entirety, on a full tank of gas. So just to reiterate that point just a little bit more, lowering the cost of living is absolutely the first thing on my agendas. And it's going to start with them gas prices. I understand that it costs a certain amount for our gas station owners to actually transport that gas and integrate it and buy it. So I am looking at instead of just buying oil within the state, I'm looking at ways to buy it out of the state and export over to Los Santos. There's got to be a cheaper option, right? America's never been known for making a whole lot of its oil on its own, and really it's been known for exporting from other willing countries. And honestly, I think that's the route we take here, is we find ways to limit the price gouging of these gas prices, and we start with that one. I also think that employee commissions will certainly help in terms of helping the general population of its employees, those who aren't business owners, make a little bit more of a buck there. And then in the sense of food prices, I'm not really seeing anything in terms of price gouging, but I also don't see a whole lot of precedent that's already been settled besides with the U-Tools a couple months ago when it comes to the concept of price gouging. So I think something across the board with all businesses, a little bit better outlined in terms of price gouging is definitely needed here in the state.
You got 40 seconds left.
I'm good there. Thank you.
All right. James, I see that you threw your hand up. Go ahead. You have 1 minute to say your piece.
So you said originally at the start of that speech that you agree that businesses are struggling. So in one of your positive points you mentioned, you want to force commissions onto these businesses that are already, as you stated, barely surviving. You also mentioned lowering the gas prices. A lot of our gas prices around this state are set by the people running them. So they've set those prices high because they have to make a bare profit, right? And now you're going to force those civilians to lower the prices. I understand that you're going to import fuel from offshore, but that is a very, very expensive process. And I know because I ship quite a lot of products onto the state myself, and that is a very, very expensive process, especially when we're looking at fuel and oil tax.
Am I allowed to rebuttal that? I'm not sure if I'm allowed to answer. Just because he asked questions.
Oh, yes, of course.
Am I allowed to answer?
I'll give you a minute to answer his question.
I appreciate it. Well, somebody with a seven-figure business, as to whether or not that means 7 figures in the bank or just a profitable one, I expect it's a little bit more of a struggle to envision as to what a struggling business is, and that's okay. But in the sense of the gas prices, I think I outlined that pretty well on how I plan to attack that, whether it be exporting oils and seeing if we can't get a better price out of state than our own oil fields, or anything along those lines. But it's still way too high. I mean, regardless of what it's being set, I understand that those who have a gas station need to make a livable wage, and they need to make a profit. And that's not what I'm taking away from. In fact, I didn't mention that anywhere. As for the comment about employee commission, this was brought to me by the business owners. I had 3 separate business owners who came to me withstanding that they wished to start an employee commission.
10
And
seconds.
that's not something that I would force on anybody. So I just am curious where that came from.
Go ahead, James. Just try not to throw any more questions.
Of course. So you said you're going to set up those connections. You know how expensive that those connections are? I mean, it might seem simple to talk about them, but setting up connections and between shipping oil in this state is a very, very expensive process.
How expensive, Mr. Allen?
I wouldn't know without the exact figures in front of me.
How would
I'd
you
have to
know
sit
it's
and calculate
expensive
those.
then?
Because I ship a lot of products in state.
You ship oil? Export it?
I don't ship oil, no, but I do fill up my
Okay.
car.
I got no further questions then.
All right. Well, with that, I will move on to Cletus to answer the question. Cletus, do you need me to repeat it?
What? No, I can't hear you, man. It's so far away, man.
Cletus, do you believe there's a problem with our current economy? And if so, could you tell us how you would fix it?
Yes, I do. All right, I'll tell you what I think, man. I think it's too difficult to make money in this goddamn place, and there's too many channels that you gotta put your money in and lose it all, man. You got all these goddamn stores that are overpricing food. They got a lot of businesses that aren't open much. You got all these goddamn police officers taking your money. And there ain't enough way to make good money, man. It's hard to make an honest living, you know. I try and carry on my business, and they're just trying to shut me down, man. They're just trying to shoot me down out of the sky, man. Trying to piss my mouth. So yeah,
What?
man, I do say that we got a goddamn problem, because all these motherfuckers keep pissing in my mouth, man. There's goddamn raccoons. So I tell you what, man. I say we gotta help people, help the less fortunate, man. We're all focusing on you're fucking, I'm rich as shit, and I'm inconvenienced by losing a couple dollars. But no, man, I say we gotta help the vulnerable, man. Because there's some people out there that are in massive debt, and they need more help than your fancy ass that can't afford to fill up your $20,000 car. You know what I'm saying, man? Like if you man. Get a more like fuel efficient car, man. You chose to buy a gas guzzler, man. That ain't my fucking fault. So yeah, what I'm saying is, man, we gotta help the people that are at the bottom get their feet, man. And if that means taking away from the rich, now I'm all for it, man. You know what? I say we just turn it into a communist state. I say we just go for communism.
All right. You still got a minute and 10 seconds.
I ain't need it.
Okay, Moxie, I can see that you have your hand up. You got 1 minute to say your piece.
I'm just curious. He's pissing in his mouth. He brought that up like 7 times. Mr. Duvall, who's pissing in your mouth, and did you wash it out? Because I can smell it from hairs.
That Blaine County Sheriff's Office, man, that pissed right in my mouth.
They pissed in your mouth?
Yeah, man. I went over, I asked for a job. They put me on my knees. They started pissing in my mouth, man. They took turns and shit.
What?
Gentlemen, could we get back to
Yeah, can we
to our
please
talks
get
here?
I'm just
very
curious.
interested in the
What?
cases.
I don't
Let's try to
understand.
move from this?
How is this man allowed to be on the debate stage if he's talking about
Well,
pissing in mouths?
he's
That's
on
what
the
I'm
ballot.
getting at.
It's a metaphor, man. You know what a metaphor is, man?
I mean, you just said that the Blaine County Sheriff's put you on your knees and pissed in your mouth.
Hey,
so
Yeah,
let's
man,
just
it's a metaphor, man.
hey,
You mean-
let's just
Okay,
cut this. Let's
okay.
cut it. Let's
It's
cut
very
this
unprofessional
section.
line of questioning, Wesley.
It's
let's
a
just-
How am I the
metaphor,
one
British
unprofessional, Mr. Allen, when I'm not the one
Hey,
who's had
I
prior
don't care
felonies on
who's
my record?
unprofessional.
Hey,
Let's
listen,
just try
man,
to
I don't have any
hey,
felonies. Thank you very much. I won't take this allegation slightly.
Hey, man, you may,
Okay.
you have
We can just look at the
right here.
expungement then.
Hey,
I'm sure it's
hey, man.
on record somewhere.
You can
Hey,
absolutely
man,
look at the
hey, man,
expungement.
hey,
I have
you
not
should-
seen
Hey,
it going on my
hey,
record.
be quiet, or this you will be escorted off stage.
I thought I was about to say
You all
executed.
right? Okay, we all ready to move on. All right. Cletus, you may return back to your stool.
Yeah, that's true.
Well,
This is a really
fuck.
good spot. I'm actually surprised I didn't think.
James, do you believe there's any problems with our current economy? And if so, how do you plan on fixing it? You got 3 minutes to answer.
I do believe there is problems with our economy. I think that the average person is struggling, and that's why I want to set up those connections with people to make sure that people have the right connections and they can start their own the businesses. By introducing the new revenue streams, we can lower those tax rates to the lowest they've ever been, because there's going to be so many more revenue streams for the average citizen that it's going to provide, like I said, not more money for necessarily the person or the state. It's going to be a mutual benefit, right? So whilst we're giving money back to the people, we are giving money to the state. So it's a joint effort. And by that, we can essentially lower the tax rate entirely. So we can focus on those businesses and give them loans to get started if they haven't already. We can also boost the minimum wage with that. So because our tax rates will be lower and we'll have those new revenue streams, we can start giving people more money as an average base pay. And that's going to provide assistance in general for them. With these loans and with these boosted minimum wage, I believe that's going to help the state entirely. Now, I've seen you mention a few times, Moxley, about the starting businesses that are starting up and you're going to make that a priority. There are several more businesses than Tobros, and while I do want to focus on the businesses, I'm not going to focus on one business specifically. There are 6 businesses that I know at the moment that are looking to start up, and I want to make sure that everyone has the opportunity to start up. So I'm not going to apply a focus to one business, but I'm going to make sure all of those are started as quickly and as efficiently as possible.
You still got a minute and 20 seconds, James.
I'd like
you'd
to,
to
if I
continue.
could hear Moxley's question.
Oh, yes. If you're done, Moxley, go ahead. You got 1 minute.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there that it's not going to be a focus on one single business and that's it. But I do believe one at a time is definitely a point to make, which is why I've reiterated a few times that Tobros should be a business. And that's because Tobros has existed for months, operating under the regular licensing without their own separate entities. So that's the reason for that one. In terms of other businesses, absolutely. I've sat down with a lot of business owners, and in fact, a lot of businesses have supported the campaign. Horny's, Bean Machine, Vanilla Unicorn, and there's plenty more that are supporting the campaign here for Mox for Mayor. So, I did focus the majority of my time speaking about Tobros. My question to you, sir, is you mentioned a lot of promises here about introducing revenue. What revenue do you plan to introduce to the state, and what is the tax rate you plan to present? You mentioned you want to make it the lowest, but isn't the lowest 0?
You got 1 minute to answer.
Is this down to me, you said?
Yes, James. I'm sorry. I forgot to say your name.
No, it's all right. So you said you spoke with several businesses. You said that support your campaign. So did you
Yes,
not
sir.
speak to businesses that didn't support your campaign?
I've spoken to everybody that I can. I've put my numbers out a few different times and attempted to contact. I spoke with Vinny's as well, with both Mr. Wave and Mr. Populardo, and they've thrown their weight behind your campaign. So yes, I have spoken to business owners who are representing your campaign as well.
So why did you state originally that you only spoke to businesses that supported your campaign?
Oh, I spoke to businesses all around. I'm telling you now that I spoke to businesses all around, but I also spoke to those who support the campaign, and quite honestly, there's a whole slew of businesses from all different ideologies, whether they support yours or mine.
Right.
It doesn't matter who supported what. By at the end of the day, it matters about what the entirety of the state needs, and what that is some federal funding that's going to help our economics get back up, Mr. Allen.
But what you said originally was that you were only speaking to businesses that supported your campaign. So all I'm making sure is that the average person who is trying to start a business who might not necessarily supported your campaign is now being left and pushed to the side.
Go ahead and wrap this up,
That's a very
fellas.
interesting line of questioning to make, and what an interesting accusation as well there, Mr. Allen. When did
Well,
I
you've made
mention that at
several
any point
during
in
this
time?
debate, Mr. Johnson.
I back mine with the transparency and accountability, and if I'm being transparent and accountable, I'm talking about your prior record there, Mr.
I'll
Allen,
call you in a
because
minute,
I
Had done
please.
put you
a
behind bars
research
few
study.
times.
You would have known that I do not have a felony on my record.
Oh,
So
I
if
know
you don't
you
have any
don't.
idea what you're
You got it
talking about, I'd
expunged.
advise
I
you
already
don't talk.
told you. I already said it earlier that you've gotten it expunged.
All right, fellas.
Should I bring forward that you're also you've been fired from your commissioner role due to an issue with alcohol? Do you want me to bring that to the table as well?
I think that was also solved in the courtrum with the Moxley Act, and I was
Hey,
found in
fellas.
no wrongdoing.
Let's just be respectful. Cletus has
Probably
something
do
he'd
years
like
as
to
well
say.
there, sir.
Yeah, stay away from the
Cletus
vodka,
has
Mr.
something
Johnson.
that he'd like to say. Let's be respectful and allow him to walk over here and give him his minute. All right,
Listen, man,
Cletus.
I just got one question, man. I mean, how are you gonna manage all that money, man? I mean, you're lowering the tax rate, you're spending money up the ass. You know, you ain't gonna have much money left. You know what do you plan to do when you're getting no money going in, but you're shitting out a ton of money going out? You know.
Is that everything?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Perfect.
You can answer that too, James, if you'd like.
Yeah, of course. So by having the lowest tax rate doesn't necessarily mean zero. I said the lowest tax rate that we've seen in this state history. So the lowest that we've seen at the moment is around 0.8%, which is something around about 2 at the moment that it's currently sat at. However, I wouldn't know exactly. I don't necessarily check my bank accounts directly. I have an accountant do that for me. So you're mentioning here about having lots of money going out of the account, where what we're going to do is introduce revenue streams for the average person through real estate. I think that's a very big portion of what we can do. And now that's a big topic. It's a big point of discussion when you talk about the rising tax rates, and people mention the word corporate greed in that, where what we're doing is we're providing lower interest to the people so that they can get their home and they can start a family with that. So what they're doing is they're borrowing money from the state, and once they're finished borrowing that money over a certain term, is they're providing money back to the state, but we're giving back to them. So it's a mutual benefit between both parties. And if they're sitting in these open council meetings that I'm going to host, they can voice their opinions. They can see what's coming up for the future. And if they don't agree with something, they can voice their opinions. And it's making sure that we're completely transparent across that process.
All right. We're going to have a quick 30-second break so me and my crew can have a quick bite to eat. And we'll jump back into this as soon as possible. Cletus, you can return to your stool. From the small break, we're going to go right back into just answering questions and such. So the next question I have is, how do you plan to distribute the budget provided to you as the mayor? I'm going to start here with Moxley.
Awesome. Okay, so I think I kind of covered this earlier, so I'll only recap just slightly here. I plan to have at least from the major areas of focus from the last campaign for Rochelle Rose. I do plan to have the police department and the sheriff's office, as well as the medical department and the courts, come forward in front of the council in a public session, and they will be required to tell us what their current budget is and how much they think they will need for the entirety of the month. At that point, I'll also open to public session and public comment, in which I'll allow businesses to come forward and discuss what they're currently at and if they need any money to stay afloat. I think it's important that the majority of our money doesn't go into the police department to correct their mistakes of massive losses in court, but rather into the pockets of the individuals and the businesses themselves. So what we'll do is we'll allow the departments and businesses that wish to come forward and discuss if they need any compensation or anything of the sort. And then from there, the council will discuss and see how much we want to divvy out into who.
You got another minute and 50 seconds.
I got you. Well,
Yeah.
without the federal government telling either of us, and I don't think Mr. Allen was told either, so we're probably on the same playing field there. But we're not really sure how much, or at least I'm not sure, how much we're going to be getting in terms of federal funding. So depending on that sense, it will depend on how much is given. Yeah. So it's I can't really give you a set answer because I don't really have the numbers in front of me, type thing.
All right. I mean, you got another minute and a half if you'd like to continue.
No, I'm good.
Sounds
There's
good.
a car to our left, though, or you're right, spinning around.
We're going to ignore that for now.
Okay.
Cletus, you can come back over now.
What? I ain't hearing, man. What you say?
Get your ass over here, please.
I ain't hearing. You're too far away, man. What you saying?
I really need a megaphone. Come
He
over
said,
here.
come on over here, baby.
All right, I'm on my way. Sweet cheeks, man. I need to be a sweet servant, man, at home.
All right,
All right,
Cletus. How do you
yeah.
plan on distributing the city's funds that's provided to you? You got 3 minutes.
Well, listen, man. Here's what I suggest we do: take all the businesses, man. Take every single asset in the city, privately or publicly or government owned, and I say we liquidate them all, man. Start from scratch. Get one whole pool of money, get everyone's assets, put them all together, and distribute it evenly throughout everybody, man. We invest in the community, man, and we give everybody everything the equal stuff. You ever look at a guy and think, God damn, I wish I had the car that guy has? Well, guess what? You can, man, because everyone's going to have the same car. Everyone's going to eat the same food. Everyone's going to have the same clothes. We're all going to buy the same shit for everyone, so ain't no one can be jealous of the other person. Ain't no one going to have more than another person, and ain't no one going to be sad because everyone got the same stuff. You can't be jealous because you can't be jealous about not having something if you do got it. Man, I just and stop people from helps the economy, man, because then ain't no one person gonna have everything, because everyone gonna have everything, and so ain't no one person gonna have more than another person, so there ain't gonna be no monopolizing, and it's just
Is that all you got to say? Oh,
if everybody got everything equally, then ain't no one gonna be unfair, and we'll be able to afford everything.
are you okay? Is that all from you, Cletus?
Yeah, man, that's it. Other than
Okay.
hang on a minute, hang on a minute, hang
Yeah.
on a minute.
My,
My little dance
oh,
dance.
all
My
right.
little happy
Well,
dance.
Moxley, you got 1 minute to say your piece.
I just have a quick question for Mr. Duvall here. Are you and are you stating you want communism for the state? You want us all to drive the same car, same clothing, no uniqueness to any individual?
Yeah.
Okay, that's all I needed. Thank you.
That's a good clarification. Cletus, you can go back to your stool.
Communism.
Um, James, James, how do you plan on distributing the city's budget that you're provided with? 3 minutes starting now.
Again, I don't think I'll need 3 minutes to answer that question. I think it's a very difficult topic. You're asking me to engage in something that's unknown to me in terms of the budget amount. I'm not a man who works on nothing. I'll always work on action and figures. So to state about a money amount I don't know about, I can't make any definite promises or regards to that. However, I will talk about a general sort of thing that I will do with that beginning sort of revenue. What a lot of I'm going to do is start the real estate talks. So that's going to be within that first week or so. However, once that's established already within that first week, I'm going to make sure that those real estate options continue to stay open. And that's going to be in terms of affordable housing. So not necessarily larger houses. We're not thinking directly of houses either. We could also be talking about apartments or motel infrastructure as well for that. A big part of that is also coming through boosting minimum wage. So that's going to be part of that budget as well. And setting aside a portion of that or a percentage of that to make sure that those business loans can be issued out securely as well to people. So the best part about a business loan being issued to someone is that they can start their own business and they can start making their own sorts of revenue. And at the end of the term that they come up to, they can provide that money back to the state in the original amount that they borrowed and also send more money back to the state, which then can be issued out essentially to another civilian, or if they ever need it in the future to expand their operations, they can use that same money as well. So it's a both party and it's a very mutual relationship and a very positive benefit from the both the state and the individual civilian. I remember Moxley talked briefly about businesses approaching him. I think that I'm not going to wait for businesses to approach me. I'm going to I'm going to send out leaflets and notes to businesses and have them come and sit in the meetings. They don't have to; it's not a requirement. However, I'd like to have them always have the invite rather than waiting for them to come to me. I would like to go to them first and understand what their comments, complaints, and concerns are. As a state, we can be feared, and that's not what we want to come across as. We want to come across as very open and very friendly. So rather than some people being left out because they don't want to approach you directly, Moxley, they can open up, and I can send them that invite so they can join our meetings without any prior invite. Some people don't want to. They don't want to approach you, even if they are very struggling citizens. They don't want to approach you, because that's the fear that some people have. So I want to make an open door policy for people like that and give them the opportunity to succeed, just as someone with slightly more confidence might.
All right. Well, moving over here to Moxley, you got 1 minute to say your piece.
Thank you. So you mentioned about this real estate. I'm curious about the implementation, what prices would be when considering that the majority of the state isn't over $30,000 in their bank account. My second question for you, Mr. Allen, is you continue to talk about upping the minimum wage, but that minimum wage comes from the federal funding and what's in the mayor's budget. So I'm wondering how much you're going to have to increase the tax budget, even though you say you're going to keep it low, to allow this to happen, and how much it's going to come out of our own pockets of those who are currently working and employed to then pay the unemployment and minimum wage. I do also have a question for you too, in regards to in regards to your goals here with the police department. And I understand that we haven't covered that yet, so forgive me. But I'm just curious what your goals are with the police department. You've mentioned reinstating, or excuse me, not reinstating, but redeploying a new commissioner. And I'm just curious what the entirety of your goals are with that, if you're allowed to share. I know that wasn't in the line of questioning, but
Of course. Would I be allowed more than 1 minute to talk about that? Would you be all right with that, Mr.
I'm
Well,
fine with that. I'm fine with that over here.
The next question's actually about this. If y'all would like
Oh,
to just
never
move
mind.
on to that.
Yeah, I'm curious about the other two questions, if that's possible.
Of course. So a big part of that is affordable housing. Affordable housing doesn't necessarily mean someone's going to go out there and buy a 30 grand house or a 90 grand house and be stuck in a variety of debt. We do offer many different schemes with that. We offer obviously the standard renting system, but there is also half state owned of what we call a freehold property, and the difference between a leasehold property as well. A leasehold property is where the state owns a portion of that house and the civilian owns a portion of that house. All the civilian pays for is that portion of the house that they own, whether that's 5%, 10%, or 20%, it doesn't matter. So instead of spending $30,000 directly on a deposit or the amount for a house, they might only pay $2,000 and get access and the keys to the house. And then later on down the line, when they're more successful, they can then purchase and staircase up and buy more percentages slowly. So if they start at 2%, the next year, if they make a $4,000 bonus in their job, for example, they can purchase that extra 5 or 10% and lower their overall cost of that monthly cost. But again, that's I don't know how much they obviously originally purchased with that. With the tax brackets that you mentioned, it's about new revenue streams. It's not necessarily about tax directly. So with that, we're obviously, like we said, we're going to provide business loans to people, and that's going to provide money for the state to boost those minimum wages for people, and also allow people to get more money in their pockets.
Go ahead, Moxley.
I'm just circling back to the houses and the revenue there. I like the ideology of it, but you mentioned that big government's going to own the majority of these houses in the sense that people won't be able to afford it. So I'm curious what kind of control there would be on price gouging and interest rates, in the sense of what the citizens have to pay out of their own pocket to afford these houses, and what's going to stop big government from taking the majority of this cash. And in the event that somebody can't afford a monthly payment, how much are they going to have to make up before they lose their home? You see, it's things like that that need to be discussed here so that we can figure out the entirety of this project and what you're presenting forward with your campaign.
Of course, and we're talking about affordable housing here. So people who might not have more money aren't necessarily going to take that direct approach. And now we're talking about people who are, like you've mentioned here a few times, that they do have that significant amount in debt. Obviously, if they're not in the position, we do have obviously state-owned and government-owned apartment buildings that they can use absolutely free. So that's no issues at all. Now, I don't want to limit certain properties to certain people. I'm only mentioning affordable housing. There are outright options here that we can purchase, and that's going to go directly. Obviously, for that house, they can purchase 100% of that house and have no issues. Or if they'd rather, they can go down that renting option. You mentioned quite a bit about the tax and the interest rates. However, they can also be at the lowest that we can possibly have those, so we can maintain a stable and open council, purely for the reason that we are going to be giving out loans to people, which are going to be providing money back to the state every month. And also money into their own pockets by generating their own revenue. So instead of having one business coming up, we can have 25 different businesses, and they're all providing a monthly income back of the money that they've borrowed necessarily. And they will already be on a pre-agreed figure, about sending money back to the state as well on top of what they borrowed. But that will all be clearly outlined towards them. And there will be options for civilians that don't necessarily take those interest rates. There can be several different ones that available to people to make sure everyone has those same options, because everyone should be equal.
All right, are we ready to move on from that?
I have questions about it, but I'd rather move on just so that we can get forward with this debate here.
All right. My next question is, do you currently like the leadership of the departments, talking about the police department and the doctor's office or the hospital? Are you currently happy with their leadership, Moxley?
Well, we'll start with the hospital here because I think that's the easiest answer. I feel like the hospital needs a little bit of a change in leadership. I do plan to present somebody else in that stead. As to whom, it's going to take a little bit. It's probably won't be a first day thing. And honestly, I want to get boots on the ground there in the hospital to see who's putting in the most effort, who knows the troops the most there and their employees. I do believe that Dr. Okada has done an admirable job since the post-apocalyptic state here. But I do believe it's time that somebody with other ideas is brought in and given the opportunity to shine in that seat. And in terms of the police department here, that's certainly an interesting topic to get into. And I will start with what I've mentioned at the beginning of my campaign here, which is the reinstatement of Justin Time as commissioner. Now, when I was working as commissioner, I put a slew of responsibility on now Commissioner Time, and he was able to shine under that. I do believe that Justin Time was not given the appropriate opportunity as a commissioner, seeing as he was kind of forced into that job just as much as I was forced out of it. So I think Justin Time, given a little bit of guidance from somebody who had the opportunity to run the department and see its inner workings, might help with that. However, I do want to take a second to point out that I am going to place significant pressure on the Los Santos Police Department, including Justin Time, to effectively discipline and terminate its officers not living up to the trust of the people of this state. As the state's protectors, they should be people we can lean on to call 911 to settle disputes, to come out and help us find our car if it's stolen, to help us on scenes. But right now, there's plenty of times that, as a member of the sheriff's office, that I've thought twice about calling for additionals from the city. And I think that that's something we need to look at, and we need to look at effectively disciplining our officers there and terminating them. I think pressure will also be placed on the LSPD to reinforce their major crimes division, and major crimes as a whole is certainly a significant problem that's been addressed from both sides of the campaign. As Mr. Allen has mentioned, he wants to start up a subdivision there. I think we just reiterate the one that we currently have and see why it's not effectively running as well as it used to. I remember when they were out making busts left, right, and centers. And granted, I don't work for the police department. I work for the sheriff's office now, but I don't see it quite as often anymore. So I want to see if there's something that I can do to help, not necessarily in terms of funding, but in terms of moving things around of what's currently there.
30 seconds.
And see if we can't find a way to dismantle the violent criminal organizations that are significantly out of control and are not only harming other criminal organizations, but also people in the state like Dawson Bloodworth.
All right. James, I will give you your 3 minutes to answer that.
Perfect. Before we start, I think Cletus is going to want to...
I was going to do
Cletus
him
didn't
after
get
you
his.
this time. Or does he?
Oh.
You want to do... I was going to do...
What the fuck? You trying to fucking skip my ass? What the fuck?
I wasn't going to skip you. I was going to let you do after James.
Man, if why changing up the order, man, you was totally gonna skip me, man. Like what? the
Best for
shit?
last. That's what my head was like. I'm going to leave the best one
Yeah,
for last.
man, you ain't changing up no order. I mean, I'm a man of order. You ain't changing that shit last minute, man. All right, what the question
All right.
is?
Cletus, do you have any problems with the current department heads of the hospital or the police department? And if so, what are you going to do about it?
All right, let me think about that one. Who's the head? Who's the head of the hospital?
Dr. Levi Okada. As long as you don't
All
mind
right.
me answering that there, Mr. Narrator.
Oh no, yeah, go with me. Who's the
No,
leader
go
of
right
the other
ahead.
word?
Just in time of the police department.
All right, man. I don't know who either of those is, so I'm gonna say we get better ones.
Is that all you have to say?
Yeah.
All right, you can return to your stool then, Cletus.
And well, if I got any questions, all right then. I ain't wasting no one's time today, man.
Continuing.
Let's go, Cletus.
That's crazy.
That is interesting. James, you can go ahead and answer. I can restate the question if you need me to.
No, it's totally fine. So a big part of that is obviously you mentioned about PD leadership and EMS leadership. I mean, I've spoken to the hospital. They're scared. They're frightened. I met with the board of directors for the EMS and the ambulance. They're scared that someone's going to walk in, and these are words quoted from one of the people there. Is they're scared that someone's going to come in the door and shoot them. And I've spoken to the directors about getting one of them onboarded on my council to make sure that I can hear their votes and their voices and their opinions. Mr. Johnson, could I just ask you to put your hand up for 2 seconds? While I speak just in the corner of my eye.
Oh, sorry. I have a question afterwards.
Oh,
I'll
I've
keep
seen
it down.
it.
I just got
I'll
a question.
remember.
Sorry.
Can I just get a show of hands here if everyone could just flick their hands quickly? Does everyone here agree that whilst Moxley Johnston was in control and running the LSPD, that the LSPD was a very successful department and in a better stand than it is today?
Yeah, Spooky misses him.
Do you see the power that you hold, Mr. Moxley Johnston? You have a very powerful position that I don't. You can become the commissioner of the LSPD. You mention a lot here about what a leader of the LSPD would talk about. You talk about reinstating ranks, making sure that people are paying their dues, and if they're not being removed from the department. You have a lot more control of that as the commissioner of the LSPD. You hold that very powerful position that I can't hold. I would like to reinstate you, Mr. Moxley Johnson, as part of the commissionership of the LSPD. And we can work together. I want to make sure that us together, with you fixing the LSPD and making sure that they can run at full capacity with zero issues, and me making sure that I can look after the economy and the general population, us together can make this state a very, very powerful entity. So with that power that you hold, my question to you is do you not think you want to focus your attention more on the LSPD directly? I mean, my mayorship isn't forever. This isn't several years. So I think that if you can use those months or those years to utilize and make sure that the LSPD is fixed, then you can, we can reevaluate in the future what happens. But together we can work as a very powerful team, and we can make this state a very powerful entity. You hold that power, Mr. Moxley Johnston. I don't hold that power. And I really wish you use it for good, for the people. You've seen here the power that you hold. People have flashed up and agreed that while you ran the LSPD, that the LSPD was a very powerful force, and crime was lower. Is that not something that you want?
You got 10 seconds left, James.
That's everything. Thank you.
All right, Moxley, you can go ahead and ask your question.
Okay, thank you. And I apologize. It's going to be a couple here. And it
I
really
can
it comes.
extend it.
Okay, as long as that's okay with Mr. Allen, because it's
Yeah.
it's a mutual things here. I think and if Mr. Allen's okay with it, I think the asking questions back and forth afterwards is pretty important. Is there any way that we can take off the
If y'all would like,
as long as it's just back in, you know what I mean? Your questions
as long
As long
as
as
it
it's very
stays-
respectful between the two.
yeah, as long as it
yeah,
stays
we can
respectful
stay
and
there.
mostly
We're-
calm, y'all don't no time
We're
limit.
respectful, Mr. Johnston, aren't we? We're on a good stand.
I think we're doing
I
okay.
think so.
Yeah, I think they're
Go
fair
ahead.
questions.
What's
to
your question?
ask. You mentioned who did you speak to from the medical department? Just this is me out of curiosity. Who you spoke to from the medical department?
There was 3 directors there. I spoke with a lot of people since then. There was obviously Dr. Levi O'Connell that you said. The other person, his name's completely slipped me. I'm not sure if Levi can fill in on that afterwards as well. They've completely slipped my name, and I do apologize for that. I have a lot on my agenda at the moment, especially with everything going on with the debate. I did mention I did drive up to the hospital when I asked to speak to them, and they said that there was 2 out of 3 directors there. The regular EMS that were outside as well.
Oh,
and
I
she was
understand.
talking about
Okay.
her fears of life.
I was confused. I think you're referring to doctors. I was confused there on directors. That's all. I was just trying to understand.
Board
From the
sorry,
inner
board
workings.
is a better word.
Yeah, they don't have a board. They have doctors. They have doctors. They have a chief medical officer. Okay, I was just trying to understand. I'm sorry. In regards to the commissionership, I do applaud you and thank you for your trust in my abilities as a commissioner. But you mentioned if I want to help the state, and I think me being up here on this very stage, the amount of time that I've spent building this campaign and speaking to the majority of the people out there in the gallery, and hopefully I'll get the chance to speak to everybody's here once this is done. But I think that goes to show that I'm committed to that agenda, but not only with the police department, but with the entirety of the state. You see, my time as a commissioner has gone. It's passed, right? I can't be a commissioner again. And
I
the
disagree.
reason, unfortunately, the law says differently. I mean, the commissionership is 4 months long. I can't. Are you okay? Oh my God, did he die?
God damn it. He must-
Mr. Allen,
Did someone forget to eat some food?
Mr.
All right, man.
He's got a little
Hi.
sunstroke.
Got a free desk, man. Got a free desk. I'm gonna say this.
Oh,
desk,
yeah.
man. That's a nice ass desk, man.
I
Buy
can.
desk
Can I
now.
pause my line of questioning for a second when Mr. Allen is tending?
Are there any medics?
I would find it
out there?
reasonable.
Can we get a medic up
Okay.
here?
Just as planned.
I was not
Is he
expecting
okay?
this.
Medic.
I'm not on duty. Can I come?
Somebody better.
Let the record show that wasn't me. He was the closest. He was the closest one to him when it happened. I say he did it.
Oh, here. He needs some room. Back up. Let the doc in.
I think he did it, man.
Oh, holy shit! Oh my God!
Get down, run! Elmer Dane here, giving y'all a post debate. We just had an assassination attempt on Cletus. He was hit by a bullet, and unknown if he's alive or dead right now, but we shall certainly find out for y'all here at the IJJ News. But I have been Elmer Dayton, and we have done the best debate ever done.